This DIY multi-purpose home theater basement is a sports fan's paradise. In this tour, you'll see just how far your budget can go if you're willing to put forth the work and if you're willing to find those incredible Youthman deals. Picture this, the big game on a massive 130-inch projection screen with instant replays on the dual 55-inch TVs that are flanking the action. A custom DIY masking system lets you seamlessly switch between 16:9 and 2.35:1 content, and thanks to the new Epson QB1000 projector, you'll get a stunning image even with the lights on. For movies, this 7.4.4 Dolby Atmos setup featuring 11 Klipsch speakers and 4 earth-shaking FI subs delivers deep, single-digit bass that you can feel. Add in the stunning stonework, a cozy fireplace, a massive 10-foot beanbag, and a pool table, and you've got the ultimate hangout for friends and family. Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I've got a super special home theater tour for you. I'm here at my best friend Sean, his home theater. Sean and I have been friends for 25 years. I was a youth pastor here.
Poor guy.
long time ago. And he became friends and I became friends. And we've just done life together. We've had great memories. Yeah. But this theater, I believe, is going to be incredibly inspirational to you guys because you're always asking me, Michael, when are you going to film a home theater that's affordable? I know you do all these big home theaters, these $1 million home theaters sometimes.
This is not the mean.
No, not at all. It's a gorgeous home theater. It's a very decorative and elegant home theater, but you are going to be shocked at how little he has invested in a lot of these pieces. We're going to talk about the components. We're going to talk about all of the decor, all of the stonework. And like I said, I think it's just going to be awesome. So Sean, it's always cool to hang out with you, brother.
Yes, it is.
So tell us about the dimensions of the room. How big are we, and where are we at in your home?
Okay, so this is the basement. It's roughly 18 by 36 room, but this actually is part of a completely unfinished full basement. It was like 1,900 square feet. The entire house has a basement under it.
Right.
And it was just, concrete block, concrete walls, nothing. It was just open, empty space. Yeah. And we decided we're going to do a home theater. So this wall was built basically dividing the basement in half on this end of the house. Yeah. And that really gave me, that was my workshop though. Yeah. So that was kind of hard to give up, but sure. I've got, so the other half still my workshop, but that's where this room came from actually, was just an unfinished basement. And when I walked into this room, I didn't know anything about home theaters at the time. Yeah. I thought, well, that's a great workshop, which is amazing.
Sure.
It's your fault that I have a home theater.
So tell
Credit
us about
or blame.
That. So what happened there?
Oh man. Well, actually, a friend Robbie in Starville, he had closed in his garage and had a little BenQ projector. He actually painted the screen on the wall. Okay. The white square or whatever, and that was the moment I was like, man, I like that. And then, but when I went and saw your house, you started building your home theater. Yeah. And the first time I saw that with your 100-inch screen, and I knew I'm doing this. And it wasn't long after that. I told you I was interested in doing it.
Right.
And it wasn't long later, of course, Youthman deal. Yeah. You came up with a stupid, insane deal of it was an in focus little projector. It wasn't anything impressive. And the screen, it was a 100-inch, I think, electric motorized screen. It was like something from an office. Sure. It was like $500. Yeah. And that was it. So we bought that for to get me started, and it hung on this wall and had the crappiest old 1980s speakers, just like you remember, like the big ones, no subwoofer. Right. And we had that for quite a while, and that was our home theater. That's how it started.
Your journey began how far? Like what year roughly are we thinking?
We're looking around 2008.
Okay.
2006,
so
2008.
This is a long time ago.
Yeah. And it was done in phases. A lot of things step by step. It wasn't all at one time.
100%. And that's what I've always encouraged you guys to do. Build it over time. Build it as funds become available. Build it as those crazy Youthman deals that we're going to talk about in this video. another important aspect of this is that Sean actually suffered from a stroke. Then he had a second stroke, and he had 3 strokes, kind of back to back. And as a result of that, his brain no longer can take new memories and convert those to long-term memories. And so
allegedly. That's what they tell me.
So his strokes happened about 10 years ago. And so pretty much
I remember the stuff before the stroke.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. I remember as well as anybody.
Yeah.
But
so
after
I'm grateful because he still remembers all of our memories.
Oh,
he still remembers my children.
Granted, as children.
He still remembers them as they're 12 years old. Now they're 18 or whatever. So part of your journey leading up to that, you were an engineer.
Right.
You were literally, I tell people all the time, I'm like, Sean is the smartest guy I've ever met.
He doesn't get that much.
And the reason is like, when you sent me the picture of the, just the framing, and I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't know he had that capability.
I'm building a home theater. What do you mean you're building? You don't have a theater room. It's what you said. You don't have a theater room. Not yet.
And so Sean's like, I'm going to build this. And so everything, I say that because everything in this room, Sean built himself.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Like I said, before the strokes and
back when I still could finish something.
Yeah. But, things have changed, but he still has such an amazing story. I wanted to capture this on film. I wanted to share his journey. So I'd love to go around the room and we'll just walk through everything. So the first thing, let's just talk about your speakers. So I've always loved Klipsch. You have a full Klipsch system, but there's a story in all of this.
All right, so the first time you ever told me about Klipsch speakers, I thought you were crazy. Because I looked them up and how expensive they were and all that. Because, all right, coming from somebody who has never seen or heard a high-end system, a Bose system was literally the most expensive thing I ever even heard of.
Sure.
All right, so Klipsch speakers were just like, you're out of your mind. There's no way. Why would
that you could afford that? Or?
No, they don't even want to.
Oh, okay.
Why would anybody spend that much money on speakers? It can't be that different.
I see.
Well, of course, we'd come visit and like, oh,
I like these.
oh my God. And luckily, my wife is a music nut. Yeah. She is so into music and just sitting and listening for hours on end. He's like, so you can't get her out of there. But so she was just as much into it as I am. So that was really great that we had this a passion we can share together, which really helps when you're trying to do something that costs money.
Yeah.
I started off with and found
the
RF3s and an RC3.
So this is a budget friendly, probably a couple $100 a pair.
Yeah, I think $300, something like that for the set.
Yep.
And I don't remember. I drove. It was Craigslist, and eventually found some. I got some little surrounds that were like I think they were Synergy series. They were real cheap.
I do remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so that was my setup, and I had a subwoofer that. Working with the church and doing events and stuff like that, I just finally bought one instead of renting things and stuff for the events and stuff. So I would just use it at my house. It was a Mackie Pro, 15-inch Pro sub. Yeah. So it had a lot of output, but didn't reach low at all.
Correct.
So it was not ideal for home theater, but it was mine, and I enjoyed it, and we enjoyed that for quite a long time. Yeah. Until you found the craziest Youthman deal. Yeah. I think this is still, I don't know what all you found in the last decade, but dang, this is the one.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So there was a lady on Craigslist she listed a bunch of, actually she had a list, no pictures, and I've got a whole article a long time ago. It's a long story, so I won't bore you.
How many trips did you make, right?
I ended up making 3 trips to her home. Each trip was an hour and a half one way.
Is it an expedition?
Yeah, I had a Ford Expedition at that time. And so I get there and she had the upgraded version. I thought I was going for version 1. Right. She had version 2. I thought she had just bookshelves and she had towers. She ended up having a whole system. Yeah. And so over a period of probably 2 months, I ended up buying that entire system. And I think all in all, I paid about $2,000.
Right.
At that time, that whole system that you can see in this picture right here was about, I think, $6,500, maybe $7,000 for that whole system. So it was a good deal. And so I didn't need all those speakers. I knew that I wanted the RF7.2s
Right.
for my room. I knew that I wanted a pair of the bookshelves. No, I didn't need the bookshelves. That was the first thing I sold.
Right.
But I reached out to Sean. I said, hey, Sean, this would be a killer upgrade to your RF3s. Here's what I want you to do. Just trust me. Take your speakers, RF3s,
this is a
take
friend
your
right here.
center channel, take your Synergy speakers, surrounds, sell them for whatever you can get for them. I don't care how much you get for them. Sell them, and whatever you sell that system for, I'll give you the RF7.2s that you see back here. I'll give you a RC7, which was a nice center channel, and then I'll give you a pair of RS35 surrounds.
Yep.
And so I think you sold all of that for about $700.
$400.
Was it really?
Yes.
Dang, I got ripped off. Oh,
Yeah,
well.
no, yeah, you did. Well, I say all that. Now it was $400 for the 3 across the front.
I was thinking it was $700 for everything.
I don't think it. It might have been. But
way.
it wasn't that. It wasn't much.
So I say all that
By
to say
comparison.
this is that's an
That's a good
example
friend.
of, well, I said it's just an example of the great deals that are out there. For
Yeah.
those of you that are watching and you see a lot of the tours I do and you're like, yeah, that must be nice, or I wish I could have that, you can have this. You may not be able to have the latest, greatest, but there's some great used deals on the used market. And so that's just one aspect. So you've got RF7 version 2s up front.
That's right. There's a crazy center channel where you go along with that.
You had the RC7
That's
for
right.
a while, and then you
right.
wanted to upgrade to have identical matching, like an LCR. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was crazy because, as most of you guys know, if you Google anything on Klipsch you're going to come up with a picture that this man took. Mm-hmm. So just out of the blue, I don't know, somebody I think found it and showed it to you. Do you take this picture? Because they recognized that somebody on Craigslist somewhere was selling the parts for a damaged RF7.2.
Yeah.
The box that got destroyed in shipping, whatever. But they sold the horn, the 2 tins, the crossover. They had them for sale.
Yeah.
You sent me the picture. Does this look familiar? Because we had just talked about how many pictures were on. Every time I look up something that was yours, you sent me that picture just out of the blue, not thinking, oh, he would want that.
Right, yeah. I just see, here's another example of somebody using my photos.
We were just talking about that. And so I was like, wait a minute. And I reached out to the guy, and come to find out, he wanted to build himself a center channel with it, but it was just going to be too big.
Right, yeah.
And so I was like, well,
I know a guy that wants to build one.
well, how would you? It's like, would you be interested in an RC7? Absolutely, was his response. I think.
Yeah.
And so I shipped. So basically, I covered my shipping costs. He covered his shipping costs. No money changed hands.
Right.
I sent my RC7 to him.
Yeah.
He sent me the components.
The parts, yeah.
And so for RC7, I got all the parts for the RF7.2.
Right.
And I built me a custom box that it's in the wall behind that.
So it's going to look a little different than this. So you have the woofers on the outside, tweeter in the center.
It is basically the same speaker, but turned sideways.
Right.
Because of the shape of the hole. That is a structural wall. So I had to.
That was an exterior wall. It's
no,
concrete.
It's not exterior. It's underneath the fireplace.
Okay.
Upstairs. So it's holding up the fireplace brick. So there's only so many things I could do. So it's not completely the same, but. And people say, well, if it's sideways, it changes. Well, I did turn the horn, and I cannot hear the difference.
Yeah.
I can't.
It blends seamlessly.
It is beautiful.
So you've got a 7.1.4.
Right.
And we'll talk about, because you got actually more speakers in here than just that. But
7.14, and but I got with 4 subs.
Right.
I got 4 18-inch subs and an infinite baffle.
Yeah. So he says infinite baffle. Let's move over to the subs because I want you to see this. Not many people use infinite baffle, so I'd love to pick your brain on that.
Okay.
Why you went with that. This is a big room, but these things slam. All right, so just to the right of the front right speaker, Sean, tell us what we're looking at here. It's going to get a little dark in here, guys. But
all right, so that is a baffle. That is a manifold for an infinite baffle speaker setup. We've got 2 FI IB318s down low. Directly above them, opposing them, are 2 more. And this is this enclosure is actually just solid wood, but it's about 2.5 inches thick all the way around, just because of the pressure you have to be able to take to keep it from ripping apart. The amp for it right here is the Behringer. I can't remember what model it is.
EP4000.
EP4000. The thing about an infinite baffle that's unusual, there is no back to the box.
Right.
The workshop, the next room is the box. So these are literally open in the back.
Right.
And you see, sometimes you'll see these up in an attic and things like that. So if you don't have a room next door, you can do this. You can do that into an attic. What it gives you is ridiculous, undistorted bass. Very low distortion bass is probably the best way to put it.
Sure.
So yes, I'm losing the back wave. I lose some output versus sealed or ported 18-inch subs, but it's very low distortion. For this room, it was perfect in my opinion. Started off with 2 subs and built the box originally for, thinking that one day I'm going to want to go ahead and go with the 4.
Right.
A guy on I think it was the ABS forums talked me into it, and I'm glad I did, because it really does make a world of difference.
At one point you had a column there. That
it was a decorative column, and I think we should be able to show a picture of that. Basically, it was just so it wasn't such an empty baffle, so for echo and just a filler.
Yeah.
And so I did have, it was a solid wood. It was heavy too. It was just I made a curved molding for the first time. And so all this molding is actually made on my table saw and router table. This is not, none of this trim was bought. Because that's just all the woodwork in here. Just about all of it started off as rough cut lumber, and I would plane it and turn it into whatever I needed. So it's been definitely a big undertaking, but a fun project.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the rack real quick. So Sean has got this really cool inlaid rack. So it's an actual dedicated rack inside there, but he's got it beautifully laid out, and just it fits with the decor here. So up top, he's got a Marantz SR7013. So the only power, or the only amplification this is powering, is his 2 side surrounds. We'll show you the other amplification below. Over here we've got Apple TV, Sony PlayStation 4. So they do a little bit of gaming. Down here we've got a Sony Blu-ray player here. Right here we have a trip light. So this is like a surge protector for the amplifier for his subwoofers. And that's a little bit further down here. So here we have a Harman Kardon 3380. So this is really a Zone 2 receiver. This is powering the 2 speakers over by his pool table, as well as the hot tub, which is outside, and that's got some Klipsch speakers as well. So here's a nice old school Sherborne amplifier. This is a 16 channel amplifier. Produces about 45 watts per channel. So he's got each one of those channels, or each pair, bridge. So he's running about 90 watts to his height speakers and the rest of the surrounds. Then down here, got another old school Acurus. Check this out. So this is an Acurus Acurus 200 by 3. So very similar to my A200. So it's 200 watts by 3. So he's using that to power his LCR, the left, center, and right channel, the Klipsch speakers. Then way down here, we've got a Behringer EP4000. So this is what is powering all of his subwoofers, the 4 that are in this little infinite baffle setup right over here. And then at the very bottom, we've got a APC. So this is pretty much just a backup, or at least a surge protector for the rest of the components. So just a really sweet, simple setup, but we got a great looking unit here. So of course, this is another great Youthman deal here. So Sean said he spent $3 for this rack rail here, $3 for the rack rail here. So he's got $6. It's not a full rack, but it's mounted to the inside of this cabinet. So that is just super cool. Again, just got to get creative, got to be patient, and those deals are out there. Sean, you mentioned the woodworking.
Yeah.
Your room has a lot of wood.
Yeah, it does.
So kind of walk us through the thought process behind that, and what you did up here in the front. And then after we talk about the screen and such, we'll go over to the fireplace and talk more about that.
Okay. Well, really, I just wanted to take advantage of the biggest screen, as big of a screen size as I could. And so that's basically what I went with here. And it's 130 inch, 16:9. And what I wanted to do is just have some storage underneath it. So that's all. So I got rough cut red oak.
Okay.
And I built this cabinet to go underneath. The columns here are just built those from a few pieces. Actually, I just purchased the rope pieces and the corbels off of. The corbels I actually just bought off eBay.
Right.
And I got them really cheap.
Imagine that.
Huh? Imagine that, right? But everything else, those are the only pieces in the room that are not actually made. Now, one thing about this is I wanted to be able to access behind this.
Right.
Because, I've got that masking in there.
Sure.
Just in case I needed to maintain anything, do any work on it, I have access. It's just magnets.
Sure.
But the same thing that holds the kitchen cabinet shut. I've got magnets holding it up there. But also, I've got electrical running here, and there's a separate 20 amp circuit there.
Okay.
Under here, I've got where I can charge the controllers, keep my remote charged. But it's also a place where my daughter, who loves playing Xbox, she loves playing it in here, of course, but we all use the room.
Right. Yeah.
So then, that way she can actually just bring it upstairs and down, but all she has to do is just plug it in, 2 cables, HDMI and power, and everything's already run. So the HDMI is actually run up the column and back over to the equipment rack.
Gotcha. So remember when we told you earlier that Sean's first screen was an electronic drop-down screen, budget screen, 100 inch. He wanted to upgrade to a bigger screen,
right.
So this is 130 inch diagonal. But Sean's the type of guy, he doesn't throw away stuff. He puts it in his shop and he says,
it's useful.
One day I'll use it somehow, some way. So he calls me one day and says, Michael, I'm building masking, electronic masking. I'm thinking,
what?
Electronic masking is expensive. And I know Sean's on the budget friendly. He likes to figure out how to do it on the cheap. I was trying to be nice. So he does everything on the cheap. And so he said, but I also know he's extremely intelligent. So he took the components from that and built the masking. Walk us through that, because that's pretty incredible to me.
Well, obviously the 100-inch screen isn't wide enough for the masking. So the pipe, the tube that the masking rolls up on is actually the top rail for a chain link fence.
Okay.
So it's the right diameter.
Sure.
So replace the tube on that. But the components are the same, and I just had to basically disassemble it and reconfigure it so that it stopped at the right points.
Right.
16.9. .35 to 1. But now I've got it on a system where I can be, Alexa, close curtain.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
So you see it's dropping down. This is electronic masking. He's using voice control to be able to...
Yeah, I mean, I can do buttons as well. It's not just voice control.
Yeah, but the voice control is slick, and of course he's got it tied into harmony. And
right.
When he hits, a certain button, then it'll mask. But the fact that you just built that blows my mind. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that, but you were super resourceful. Again, what did that cost you?
Oh, $20 maybe, and then the fabric, which I was going to get anyway.
Correct.
For the trim, maybe an extra yard or two of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got $30 in it probably.
So it does help if you have an engineer's mind,
well, yeah.
And so this was probably built, so you built your theater room in 2008.
Starting off this, but I didn't it was years before I added this.
Okay, so over time.
I don't remember. Holly's really good. My wife is really good with dates.
Yeah.
But 2010, 12 maybe.
So a couple years after he begins his project, he slowly begins to make upgrades just like you and I do. But he found really resourceful ways to do it that didn't tap into a lot of the budget.
Yeah. So it was all concrete block walls. So this wall here, actually cut a hole in it and put in a brick ledge or whatever, and made a spot for the center channel.
Yeah.
Built the cabinet, and the stone is funny because that's actually some remnant, just scraps from a contractor. I paid $160 for it was it was a truckload of it.
Right.
It was mixed up though. It wasn't all the same.
Yeah.
It was a few boxes of this, few boxes of that, but it was all from the same company, same color family.
Sure.
But it was different styles. So if you looked really close, it's like really rough stone, really smooth stone, bigger stone, small. I mean, but I mixed it together, which I mean,
made it look like it goes together.
It's much more. It looks more natural.
Know that. Yeah.
It looks more natural actually using all the different ones.
Sure.
But it makes it really hard to lay because because they're not made to go together.
Yeah.
But so this was my first experience laying stone, and I think it turned out great. And I loved
phenomenal.
it. Yeah, I love it. And actually, I've seen. It was cool because I actually saw. I've actually seen someone use my theater as an example of
nice.
Inspiration.
Sure.
And they built one. They did stone on the sides of theirs just like it. So it's cool.
And I can imagine that might even act as kind of like a diffuser as well.
It does. It's very much a diffuser. Because I mean, it's a good 2.5 inches of buried thickness on a concrete surface. So does it absorb? No. It's not absorption at all.
Sure.
But it does diffuse. And I've not, with the other acoustic treatments in the room, I haven't had any problems with it. I've loved it.
So while we're standing up here, I'm going to go to the camera. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I don't think we can see the side TVs.
Okay.
But if you will go ahead and put those in place, I would love to show everyone kind of what you've done here. So I'm zoomed out now.
You're zoomed out now? So
yeah.
I mean, like now, most of the time they're like this during the year, but during football season, we pull them out because during when we have movie nights and stuff, we don't need those screens. They're just all flat against the wall.
Right.
But when you're watching football, I mean, how do you watch football without 3 screens? I mean, come on, right?
And so even in that's pretty unique because you have it set up to where you're able to see some kind of replays. Walk us through that.
Oh, okay. Well, usually it's playing different games. Okay. Because multiple games on at the same time.
Sure.
But it's frequent you have games where there's really not any competing games you're interested in, like championships, any of the playoff stuff.
Okay.
Well, if I have that, they're running separate streams off. I'm just using YouTube TV for this right now.
Okay.
Anyway, so the main screen's playing. This one, it will be playing the same thing, but delayed. So I'll just pause it and start it again, like one play behind. So as soon as the play ends, it starts over here.
Right. Nice.
So every play is replayed. Well, a third screen. Well, most of those kind of games have multiple channels broadcasting them.
Oh, I see.
So it's a different view. So I'll put the Skycam. I had the Skycam view on this one. So they're timed where you watch the play. As soon as it ends, you can see the replay in case you missed something. And as soon as it ends, it plays it over here from a different angle. And it's crazy because it works out because that's almost exactly the amount of time it takes for them to start another play. So you don't miss anything, and you have the option of. And sometimes if I want to back it up and see something, what happened? What happened? Wait, did I miss that? That was a bad call.
Right.
I can just back it up on the side screen, and even if I have a group of people in here, nobody's like, dude, come on,
Sure.
They're in the middle, they're intense watching the game. I can back up one of the side screens. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
That's cool because most we're just to see what the call was, and so it really works out good. It makes it nice. It's just a different atmosphere.
Awesome.
And we always have leave some lights up. We have food in here.
Sure.
And we eat good and have a good fellowship.
Yeah. So one thing that's cool is we've got this big, massive screen, 130 inch, but you've had a few projectors over the years. You started off super budget friendly. In Focus, I think was the first one.
Yeah. I don't even remember the model. But
then you went
really
to
cheap.
an Epson. Then you went to a Optima.
That's right.
And then we just made a video doing an install of your brand new projector that
I'm thrilled about.
Epson has sponsored this video in the fact that they generously donated and sponsored the projector.
A light cannon. That's what they gave me, a light cannon.
It's beautiful.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So talk to us about the projector. So this is the brand new Epson QB1000. This is 3,300 lumens.
Which apparently annihilate the 2,200 lumens from my old one. And we did some side-by-side comparisons on that. And you probably could show a picture of that.
Yeah.
But it was, It was ridiculous.
It's an incredible upgrade.
Yeah, I didn't realize, we always knew it was dark. It's just it's not bright enough. But your eyes do adjust.
Sure.
If you're in a dark room with a dark screen, it's not terrible, but it's not what it should be.
Sure.
But when you use these side screens, like I had the backlight turned all the way down.
Right, on your TVs.
On the TV, as low as they would go.
Right.
Just because it would
because
wash
it was
this
washing out.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Because, they look bright, and these aren't expensive TVs. These are just, budget.
Hisense,
TCL, whatever was on sale Black Friday, probably.
Sure.
Or, it's nothing extravagant.
Right.
And, but they're just way brighter than this. Always have been.
Yeah.
But, not anymore.
So the short version of that is Sean had reached out to me a couple months ago and he said, hey, Michael, because of his strokes, he doesn't know what new technology is even out there. He doesn't even know what.
I had never heard of a laser projector.
Right.
Never
had. Yeah, what is a laser projector? So I started doing some research and I know Sean and I know what he uses this room for, and a lot of it is sports. Yeah. So I needed something that was bright, or I knew that you would want something that was bright.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also wanted something that was going to be just a good quality. And he didn't even know what his budget was because he didn't know what current projectors cost.
Right.
So he said, can you point me in the right direction?
I don't know how much groceries cost. Were you kidding?
Because I just don't know. And so I started thinking Epson immediately. I'm thinking Epson makes a very bright image, very beautiful image quality. But you like to leave the lights on a lot of times because people are walking around.
Not fully on. And it's not like
but there's some light. It's not
there's
a fully
always
light control.
Now, if we're watching a movie, the lights will be off.
100%.
But lots of times, like I said, we've got guests over. They're shooting pool in the back. The pool table lights on.
Sure.
We have dim lights over the chairs where people are eating. There's food. So you can't have it pitch black people walking around. Correct. So it works out good. If you got 10 people in here doing things, you can't have it pitch black.
Yeah.
And this projector is brighter with the lights fully on than my other one is with the lights off.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. This has been a spectacular image. This was my first experience seeing the brand new Epson projectors.
Okay.
I had been impressed with their LS 12,000. I've seen that many times.
Okay.
That was the model before this. This is a new series that Epson has come out with. I think it's the QB 1000. Then there's a 3000 model and a 7000 model. Of course, they go up quite a bit in price, up to about $35,000.
Yeah.
This unit's about $8,000, so it's not cheap, but it's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, it's
Holy
gorgeous.
Cow.
Well, it's not like I had an Epson after the In Focus, and it's not like I had a problem with it when I got rid of it. There was a lightning strike. Yeah. It struck a tree in my yard, and took the tree down, took out equipment in multiple houses. It was really a lot of stuff got damaged. So it wasn't anything on Epson.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember the stories that was told to me because I don't remember it happening, honestly.
Well, for one thing, you didn't have an income.
Okay.
So you were an engineer.
And Holly was in school, is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Holly was in school. She's trying to finish her teaching degree. And so I guess whatever money we had from the insurance had to stretch. Right. And then we got things fixed that we needed to fix. And honestly, that just wasn't the biggest priority at the time. We had bills to pay, So we got I got the Optima. Yeah. And by the specs, you would think, it should be fine.
Yeah, it should be decent.
Now we used it for years. Yeah. Apparently, it was several years.
Yeah.
But we've never.
I think that unit's about 6 years old, roughly.
Okay. All right. Well, my wife is saying that we've never really been impressed with it, and if you compare it to the TVs now, it's it's sad.
Yeah, she's almost ready to bring a big TV down here.
Yeah, she actually said that yesterday. She's like, "Look, I was ready to just put a big TV in here. If it's going to look like this, I'm just done. The projector's just not worth it." Right. And of course, you turn this projector on, there's the oh my. Yeah. What? Yeah. Didn't know it was. I haven't seen anything that bright since going to a movie theater IMAX thing or something. I'd never seen a projector that bright. Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah. Unexpected. Yeah. So super, super cool to Epson. So again, thank you to you guys. So we've got a beautiful image, beautiful screen, big screen. Let's head over to the fireplace because you want to create a place that's nice and cozy, but also is functional. It's in a basement, so it gets cold up here in Alabama. Yeah. So let's head over to the fireplace.
So here's a pretty cool story. Talking about inexpensive. So behind here, this is a side surround. This is an RC7.
Yeah.
Sorry, RS7 surround.
Yeah.
So Sean had told me a long time ago, he said, hey, Michael, if you ever come across a pair of RS7s, not sure I can afford it, but just let me know and I'll see if I can come up with it. So I'm looking on Craigslist all the time at that point. This is many years ago. And I came across a pair of RS7s for $50. Now at that time,
that's insane.
Yeah, at that time they were typically going for about $450, sometimes $550. And so I knew it was a great deal. So I reached out to the guy, drove up. The guy even met me. He drove 30 minutes to meet me. I drove 30 minutes.
It was a blessing.
He was an hour away. And I remember talking to the gentleman. We were just in the parking lot of like a Lowe's. He showed me the speakers. He's like, and I knew they were white, and I knew white wasn't going to work in this room, but also knew Sean could figure it out. He'd do something to it. So he just said that he had them mounted in his house, bought the home, they were already installed.
Right.
He was painting, and he didn't need them, and so he was just giving them away, and he was hoping they'd go to somebody that could use them and that would love them, and I knew that Sean would love these.
Still enjoying them.
Yeah. What's funny, though, is that speaker over there, you painted black.
Right.
This speaker here, we had this conversation last night. He's like, "What?"
I didn't realize it was still. I don't remember actually painting it. So he said, "What?" No, in my mind, I'm like, I would have painted them both, obviously.
Right.
But if you get a flashlight, you shine through the grill cloth. It is white. There is an RS7 behind. It was an RS35.
Right.
One of the original ones. Yep. And but that's just grill cloth, and you shine a light, you can see through it.
Sure.
But it gives me the side surround in the location it needed to be. And that actually determined where the fireplace was centered. It was based on where the side surround needed to go.
That's priorities, right?
It was, and it works great. And it's directly across from the other surround, and it worked out good, and it didn't affect the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Being in there, so I liked it. It was worked out great.
But again, think about that: $50 for a pair of speakers. The deals are out there, and so I'm really hoping that you're capturing the vibe of this video. Okay, you can build a beautiful home theater on a budget if you're patient. If you look for those
patient,
yeah, and if you look for those great deals. Now you may not be as handy as Sean was, but the reality is maybe you know somebody like Sean that can help you out.
Well, just finding the deals, and then getting even if you have to hire somebody to do a lot of the work, it's still way less expensive.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's no telling how long that I had this, the stone and the different things. I would gather things for the project, and I may have them for a while. I mean, honestly, it may be a little while.
Sure.
And then once I get it all or get close enough to it, then I say, then I can go ahead and do it. I can move forward with the project.
Yeah. But this is just beautiful. I mean, it's functional. Like I said, this is a basement. It gets cold.
Yeah.
But this feels amazing. It looks gorgeous. It represents, your heartbeat of football and Mississippi State and Harry Potter.
See, I graduated Mississippi State.
And the Iron Man over here. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I graduated Mississippi State, but so did my father and his father and his father.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's generations of it.
There's a lot of heritage there. And you can tell in this room, this represents you. It represents your heartbeat and your family's heartbeat. I just love what you've done with the space. You've made a very warm and inviting space, but you've also done it on a budget.
Yeah, well, the point was, honestly, when I first started off with it, the concrete block walls, and my wife was the reason it turned into a room that looks like this. It's because she doesn't like the feel, and it just feels like a cave or the hospital. I think she said reminds of her school or a hospital, because it was just concrete block walls that were painted, and it was cold, and it just wasn't inviting. She just didn't. She didn't come in here and want to hang out.
Right.
She does now.
Yeah,
she does now. So that's where all this came from. The changes were so this would feel like part of the home, not we're going to the basement.
Sure.
Yeah. That's not how it's referred to, and that's not how we think of it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another big part is acoustics and even the design. So this right here, you see the beautiful woodwork. This isn't something that you would normally see in a theater room.
Right.
But I'm sure that you got a deal on those.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that is a half-inch cabinet grade birch plywood. And I got quarter sheets a lot of quarter sheets. I got a pallet of quarter sheets for like $70, $75, I think.
Wow.
And if you see the other wall over there, it's actually like, I don't know, 20-something feet of wall completely covered with it. Yeah. And then that's the same stuff here all the way down.
So you've tied that in beautifully.
Well, thank you. But that was all, it was about used, not used, it was off of scraps from some cabinet shop somebody was selling on Craigslist. So I found all those and stained and varnished those and put them up, and that really changed the room. That's when it really started feeling more comfortable, even with the front wall done. Because this was all done separately. Like the front wall was done, and it was a couple years, I don't know, it was a little while later. Right. And then that's when I got the panel in, and I did the panel, the birch plywood, I did the panel of that wall. Sure. And it was probably, I don't know, 2-3 years later, I decided, you know what, I'm building the fireplace. Because when I originally built this room, I built this wall, you know, just a straight wall, you know. So this was drywall. Right. And so one day, I know I sent you a picture. It was just a big hole in the wall. You could see into the shop. It was just a giant hole. Yeah. What are you doing? And I got the fireplace. Actually, like I said, you have to be patient. I bought it I waited until Lowe's puts the fireplaces on sale in the spring. So it's a gas insert's all it is. You know, a freestanding vent-free gas fireplace, which makes it really inexpensive. I don't have to run a flue, nothing. So I put that in, but I got that at like half off because it was clearanced, and it was and I hadn't built and it didn't matter what size exactly because I hadn't built it yet.
Right, you're gonna build around it.
I'll build around it. That's right. So everything I get for this room, it's based off of getting it when it's available at a rate, and then when I get it all, because I'm constantly on the lookout for the next piece to the puzzle. That's what I used to do. It was a lot of fun. I spent way too much time on Craigslist, but I had fun doing it.
So over here on this opposite wall, Sean, you've got some acoustic treatment here. So these are DIY, or these bought?
Yeah, these are DIY. These are from the, I bought a bunch of, actually I think they were getting rid of cubicle walls. Okay. They were just like disposing of cubicle walls from an office. Right. And it was a lot of them. Okay. All right. But so I got a whole truckload of them. And if you don't realize it, cubicle walls are just a frame with metal fabric, frame, right? Metal frame with fabric and acoustic insulation. Right. The same stuff that you want to use for acoustic panels. So that is a really good way to get cheap acoustic panels, is to get old acoustic, sorry, I can't talk. Cubicle walls. Right. They are they're made of acoustic fabric. Sure. So I just tore them apart, took out the panels, and it's rigid fiberglass insulation. So you just cut them to shape. I built a little wood frame, wrapped them in fabric. Right. There you go.
And then over here, there's a big. You may not be able to see it. I'll do a B-roll, but back over here, use some of the same ones. Cut them into triangles.
They're cut into triangles. It's just stacked. It's just stacked up, floor to ceiling, a triangle to make the bass trap in the corner. Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole. Everything that was cut off of these, the little short pieces were cut into triangles and stacked up to make a bass trap. So there's literally like 100 or more of those things just stacked. So
if you were to buy these from like GIK, you're going to spend about $110 per panel. You know, so again, if you're
and I paid like $6 a yard for the fabric.
Right. So if you're somewhat handy, and there's a lot of tutorials online to show you how to do that. It's literally a frame. Easy. Put the fabric in there, or put the whatever acoustic treatment you want in there, whatever insulation, and then put over whatever your kind of source of fabric. So got acoustic treatment. So look at this big old beanbag. This thing's about 8 feet wide. I know we talked about it.
They call it an 8-foot beanbag, but if you measure it, it's actually closer to 10. Okay. It's two 8-foot circles with a 3-foot wall, but when it squishes out, it's actually closer to 10. They sold it as an 8-foot, but it's not. It's bigger than that.
So in your theater room, this is the primary listening and viewing position.
Absolutely.
They love laying down as a family. You can see he's got these little tray tables here. Put his food and his drink, so those won't spill.
Yeah, these are great little tables, but what you end up with is we've had like 8 kids lined up just laying across the beanbag there, watching whatever on. It's funny seeing how many kids you can put on it though.
So this is definitely not conventional. Most people
No, not at
don't
all.
put a big beanbag.
But that
this
is the best bass trap you can buy.
True.
Like this is, I mean, as far as acoustics to this room,
Yeah.
this was the one thing that just made night and day difference.
Yeah.
Because it was an echo chamber before.
Well, yeah, you would think
Concrete
seeing all this hard
walls
wall, the hard surface,
Yeah.
the hard surface up here, but that's acting as a diffuser.
Yep.
You've got some
Exposed.
acoustic treatment up here on the top as clouds. We've got it around the room, and you've got this.
This is an acoustic treatment in itself. Like, think about it. That is shredded memory foam.
Sure.
You know, it's 150 pounds of shredded memory foam in the center of the center of the room.
Wow.
It is ideal when you get down to that as far as absorption.
Yeah.
You don't need any more. It's fantastic.
So super creative there. So you can have probably four people comfortably.
4 adults can be comfortable.
Yeah.
And then still and not be like all over each other.
Yeah. And then you've got additional seating back here. So
Right.
these are, you know, your standard theater seating.
Yeah.
I think you told me, you asked Holly, it was probably like $1,200 for the
Yeah.
whole set.
Yeah, drove to Atlanta and got these off of Craigslist, so
Yeah.
it was definitely worth it.
So that's a pretty good drive for you, several hours. But again, if you want to find some really good deals, you got to be willing to travel sometime.
That's right.
To save some money. You know, Valencia, they're nice, but they're $1,000 to $2,000 for each seat.
Well, I didn't start off with this though either.
Correct. That is correct. These were pretty ratty last time I remember them.
What
They basically
you remember
the
them?
faux was
Okay, you remember them later than I do because they had a few places they started to peel. All right, so the difference is you got genuine leather.
okay. Yeah.
And you've got bonded leather.
Sure.
Whereas this like the paper thin layer that's glued over top of fabric. So when you have that, you have problems with it will eventually peel.
Sure.
It's just a matter of when.
Absolutely. So they had gotten really bad, and then I remember Holly telling me that y'all were going to look at some. So I was like, all right. So next time I get to see them, and here they are.
Yeah, I love them.
No, these
They're
look
great.
super, super cool. So a couple of the areas in this room I'd love to be able to feature and share. So this is more than just a theater room.
Oh, yeah.
This is really an open concept. This is a entertainment space for gaming, music, movies, eating. Got a little table right here. Nothing super fancy,
No.
couple bar stools. But then over on the back side, we've got some more entertainment stuff, pool table. So let's head back there.
All right.
All right, so who doesn't love popcorn for movie night? So you've got a couple of variants here, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you got these cheap too. So what's
Oh
the story
yeah.
with
Well, when you say who doesn't love popcorn, well, my daughters love popcorn. And I started off with the little red one,
Right.
and that was a Christmas present, and it was great. We used it for a lot of years, but my kids eat enough popcorn that a 4-ounce popper, that's one serving. That's one person. So
Sure.
It would take 3 batches for the 4 of us, realistically, to get a bowl that size.
Right.
And so it was just, it's just time consuming. It wasn't a big deal, but it was time consuming. Eventually, especially when the youth started coming over, because that is a cheap snack.
That is
like,
true.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's cheap. And we have a local supplier here, but they grow the corn here and everything.
nice.
So I could get the corn. It was all really cheap.
Right.
So for like 50 cents, I could make 12 gallons of popcorn. It was great.
Sure.
So I went with a Great Northern, and I don't know. I've had it for ages now, and it's great. It's an inexpensive machine, but if you've got a family,
Right.
don't get a 4-ounce popper. I mean, if it's just you, fine.
Right.
The reason they're both still here is most people are like, why do you keep both
Sure.
of them?
Right. Yeah.
Well, the big one, that's movie theater popcorn. I use a flavor call just like the movie theaters, and coconut oil. But the little one, I make candy popcorn, like glazed pop.
Oh, right.
Glazed pop is it's just a glaze on the popcorn, so I can do different flavors. I'll do like like a blend of several different flavors, grape and cherry and whatever.
Grape popcorn.
They're really good. It's
Okay.
crazy, but so you make it's like Jolly Rancher flavor basically. But so I make like 3 different flavors and mix them together. That works great. But the favorite is caramel corn.
Yeah.
So I just have it. It just makes it right there in the kettle. I make caramel corn, but if you have so for movie theater popcorn, you want a heated base.
Right.
Keeps it warm, keeps it fresh. It does a lot better. You do not want that with sugar-coated corn. If a heated base and sugar-coated corn do not work well together, and the little one did not have a heated base, so it worked perfect. So now I've got I make candy corn, and movie theater popcorn. I just get both.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so right behind here, so this is an unfinished pool table. So he's got a guy that's been working on this for him. It's taking him a little bit longer than he thought.
I thought it was going to be done for this. I really did, but it's getting new rubber on the rails, so that's why it's not just done here. I thought it was. I actually really thought it'd all be done here, but because it's got to do. When you got to take the rubber off and apparently got to sand it down and stuff or something. Okay. Anyway, so those didn't get done in time.
Okay.
So we're at a halfway point or something on the pool table. Eventually it will be.
So there's a great story here.
A cheap story.
Pool tables can be expensive, but you found an amazing deal on that.
A guy I worked with had a pool table that was a wood top. One of those little green sports craft from Walmart. Yeah. It was $200 new type pool tables.
Sure.
No, it was maybe a little more than that. But anyway, they gave it to me. He just didn't want it.
Right.
And I used it for years, and it was awful. Yeah. I mean, really, as far as if you play
pool,
pool,
sugarcoating it was junk.
It was junk. Yeah. It had an MDF top. For anybody who plays pool, slate top. You want it perfectly flat, perfectly smooth, and that MDF was not. So anyway. I decided I'm going to upgrade pool tables. I want something to play better. I enjoy playing.
Sure.
And I don't like it that if you get anywhere near this pocket over here, that it's going to go in. It would even bounce off the rail and roll back.
Right. Yeah.
All right. But I put it on Craigslist and said, all right, pool table, probably okay for kids, doesn't play well, it's not flat, looks decent, but it's nowhere near flat because it's warped.
Sure.
$100.
Right.
Sold an hour.
Right.
And then the same day, I found this one for $150.
I love it.
Apparently, and it was, I'm recovering it with the dark red cover, which is what it had on it when I got it,
right.
Which obviously for this room works.
Sure, it makes it perfect.
Yeah, but apparently most people don't want a red pool table, and they had had it out for sale for a while. Right. They just kept dropping the price.
Nice.
And they were thrilled
to
come get it. Well, I mean, honestly, it's expensive to move a pool table.
Yeah.
I had a youth group.
Yeah.
And they were vested.
Free labor.
They wanted the pool table too. Sure. I told them, hey, I've got a pool table. If I can get some help moving it. Oh yeah. So I had like 6 guys.
Right.
And the guy who sold the pool table to, he was the biggest of all of us.
So he helped.
He helped too.
Nice.
He was just like, absolutely. So he helped us move this behemoth in here. Yeah. And so I've got $50 in this pool table, short of the recovering.
Sure.
And I think my daughter got me some of the. My daughter's got me some of the stuff to actually redo it for Christmas.
Nice.
So it's worked out really well.
And then this is super cheap.
Yeah. When I was building the room originally for that old green table, I needed a pool table light, and of course I don't want to spend what they want for pool table lights. It's ridiculous. This I'm pretty sure it's either $5 or $8 at a yard sale.
Wow.
But it was brass.
Right.
And it's still brass.
Yeah.
But it's painted.
Spray paint.
So this is a rattle can coat on a brass bar light, and this is the most light you'll ever have on it. Mike's camera lights.
Sure.
But you never would know it.
Right. Yeah.
It works out great.
Then the last piece here. So this was something I think you got for free?
Yeah, it was trash. I got out of the trash. At church, somebody had made it for the church when they had a pool table up there, but it had been sitting forever because originally these pieces here, it's got these little grooves right there, and they actually had holes here.
Right. And
the pool stick just set in the hole, and that was a terrible design. It was just a bad design.
Sure.
And it was just somebody who tried to make one, and it made it nice. They just messed that up. And I thought, well, it doesn't work, and they just threw it away. Well, I decided, you know what? I will just fix it.
Right.
So I made a little piece of trim to cover the original holes.
Okay.
Added new holes here. Been using it ever since. That was probably 2012 or something. I've been using it ever since. It's been great. So I got literally nothing in this.
So here's the whole point of this. Sean has made a beautiful home theater, a beautiful multi-purpose room that a lot of you guys have. Most of you, probably 2/3 of my audience, have told me, Michael, I don't have a dedicated theater room. But maybe you've got a basement, maybe you've got an area, maybe you've got an open concept room that you could do something really cool. But what I want to bring out in this build is it doesn't have to cost a fortune. There's a lot of ways you can save some money, a lot of ways, but you got to be patient.
If you're patient.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, it took a long time to build.
This is probably a 10-year, 15-year process.
Oh, yeah, start to finish.
Yeah.
But we were using it all that time.
Correct.
It just kept getting better and better.
That's correct. And I've done that with my theater room. I've brought you along my journey over the past 18 years that we've been in our current home. And when we move to our next home, I'll bring you along that journey too. But I'm hoping that this video will inspire you to just do something. Look on the used market, save up, look for those great deals. Bartering is another great way.
Absolutely.
I've built websites for speakers before. I've built websites for cabinetry in my room. And so sometimes you just got to get creative. But Sean's got a beautiful space, and I wanted to bring you guys along and just share all of the details that went into this, all of the heart, all of the passion. And this is something that your family has enjoyed for years and years over the past, whatever, 18 years.
Our family and a lot of other families.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll have a link down in the description to your build thread. You actually did a build thread
Is it still up?
Yeah, if it's still available, back in the day when you first started this. So you might be able to find some ideas of how he built the speaker or how he did the
yeah, I used to have how I built the masking and everything was on there.
Yeah, so if it's still available, I'll link it down in the description.
Old BlackBerry pictures.
For sure. Well, guys, hope you have an incredible week. God bless, and we'll catch you in the next video.